Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a very special edition of Rooster and the Villain. Tonight it is the Seagull and the Villain. A little Brighton and Birmingham love here from Jake and Jimmy. Jake, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. The one of my coworkers had a family emergency, so it was kind of a two-man job. So I ended up getting the day off. Um,
Mm.
Spent it doing laundry, amongst other things. So not really the Ferris Bueller's day off. More like a in servitude to my wife day off. So
For sure. I didn't tell my wife yet, but so I work from home. But I haven't been able to get like a Monday or a Friday off in a while, just because we've been really busy at work. But I had an opportunity tomorrow to take some time off, so I just took it. I just took tomorrow off. I'm not saying anything. My kids are going to be at school all day. There's a bunch of projects around the house. It's fall here in Michigan, so trying to get ready for winter. Some projects I got to get done. So I'm just gonna do that tomorrow. So, um, I feel you, and it's nice to have an unexpected day off in the middle of the week from time to time.
yeah, it's fall here too in the borderland. It was a balmy 92 degrees. Uh,
Oh yes, it's flannel weather. Um,
yes,
Absolutely, yes, for sure. You're drinking your pumpkin spice lattes in that
actually.
heat.
No shit, I did. I got a pumpkin spiced iced latte. I don't know if they have them around you, but do they have Dutch Bros near you?
No, 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 no. I mean, we're
It's
we're primarily Starbucks, but also there's like a regional company called like Big B. But I don't
uh,
drink it. My wife drinks coffee, but um, yeah.
the only place in my opinion, as far as like chain coffee joints goes, that rivals this one is Tim Hortons.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Tim Hortons during my time in New York, so that's where I would get my coffee from.
That's fair. I feel like I'm, being from Michigan. There's obviously lots of Tim Hortons here. We're border with Canada, um, but it's people I talk to are like I love Tim Hortons. We go there like every twice a month or whatever. And other people like I will never go there. Um, I don't know. It's kind of it's either a love hate for Tim Hortons around here, but
Yeah.
anywho. So, you have put together a nice little format for us for tonight. So I'm going to let you kind of, drive the topics here as we go forward. And yeah, man, I think that's it's going to be a fun episode.
I think so too. Um, so I'll start with Brighton because I believe you had two games this week. Well, from the weekend till today.
Yeah, the Premier League on the weekend, and then we had our Carabao Cup match on
Okay.
Tuesday.
So I'll just go ahead and launch into it. Brighton and Hove Albion, Nottingham Forest came to the Amex. I've over the course of my Premier League fandom with Brighton, as some of y'all know, I followed them the championship season where they got promoted to now. So one of my least favorite teams to play against is Nottingham Forest. Them and Fulham are kind of like the clubs that seem like they should be like on our, I guess, like the mid table club, small club mentality or whatever that some people have. Like those are the clubs that people think of when they think of Brighton. But I cannot stand playing against Nottingham Forest. It's the same thing as when we play against Fulham. Just tough tackles. They're, as if anyone follows me on Twitter, you saw the Floppingham Forest. Uh, just a lot of shithousery to start the match. Um, the penalty, whatever. Like I guess it was. I try to be uh, not
I
biased. What did you think of that one?
I thought, man, he. So here's the thing, like because it was called on the field, it remains a penalty to me even after the review. I would say that my spin on it would be is that Gibbs White did a very professional job on that one. Like he sold it incredibly well. There still is room even in this microscope era that we live in, that a guy can still go earn a penalty, and we'll talk about that in a little bit with John Duran yesterday. But I think that because it was already called in the field, there wasn't anything super glaring enough to overturn it, I guess. So that I think that's why I thought I supported the call in the end. So
Yeah, and that was just one of those moments where, I mean, like in your rant last week, we were talking about the Norway and VAR or whatever. That's one of those situations where I just don't care for VAR, where it's just like, why are you showing me this? Like, we know what it is. You already called it. Let's deal with it. And so it was like, whatever. I didn't feel too nervous about coming back. At the 42nd minute, pretty much as I'm driving to Sunday League, a little bit of swerving at this point. Hinshelwood doing the jump man. That dude's got some ups. Some people on Twitter are saying Billy Gilmore with goals. Hinshelwood's definitely a talented dude, and he's extremely versatile for us.
Is he 19 years old?
I believe
18?
so. He's either 19 or 20.
I mean, yeah, he's been surprising, right? Because I mean, of all the guys that you've like quote unquote touted to me, like young guys that they've sort of brought through either on the loan side or what have you. I think Hinshelwood was like, yeah, he's a homegrown, but like it was kind of like he's a try hard, if you will. But like he's more than that. He's been really talented for him.
Yeah. He's like a legacy guy too. I think one of his family members played for the club back in the day. His grandfather was a professional footballer. His dad was a professional footballer. He's got uncles and cousins that are involved in the game and stuff. So I just like that we're producing, like still producing academy kids despite our recent transfer form. I've really, really enjoyed Hinshelwood's game, whether he's been as a right back, he's played left back, he could play center, defensive mid, he could be an 8. Like I really, really like that kid. He's good. Oh yeah, he's 19, by the way. But so we move pretty much right to halftime. This was as I was parking for Sunday League. Waylay, that guy, Welbs, hit his first ever direct free kick goal. Great shot. I'm glad it was him and not Dunk. Dunky, I love you, but no more free kicks for you. Tremendous from Welbeck. The streets will never forget. I love that dude. Then we kind of go into the second half. Brighton really doesn't do much from then on out, and then things start getting nasty throughout the second half, and then it all kind of culminates in the 83rd minute. Morgan Gibbs White horror tackle on, maybe I'm overreacting, but he did sprain his ankle and he's out for the game versus Chelsea. João Pedro, a horror tackle on him, bad tackle, absolutely deserved to get his second yellow. And then Nuno, the manager, freaks out, gets a red, and somehow Hertzler in the scrum with a red as well. So everyone pretty much going off. And then, I forgot to mention, they scored in the 70th minute. Good goal. Yeah. We remain extremely susceptible to the counterattack. I think those things are getting worked out. I think we're more able to rebound off from counterattacks than we were under De Zerbi. But again, just that high line mentality. These things are going to happen. We got to do a better job of stopping it. And then, so going into the 8th minute, everything breaks down. Everyone starts fighting. We had some chances to end the game. Forrest actually got a chance to win the game and blew it off of just sort of an ugly ass pass from was it Hudson Odoi? I don't remember. Someone played the ball like literally across the goal instead of just going for the shot, and it was just a bad pass. I thought the guy was offsides to start with, but I guess not. But so ends 2-2, sharing points, which is really annoying. These are the games we need to win, especially going up against a Chelsea team who's seems like they're starting to figure shit out, which is kind of fucking scary. But 9 points on 5 matches, +4 goal differential. I can't complain too much. Still undefeated. So that's it.
For sure. I mean, a couple thoughts. I would say, like, a surprising, like, honestly surprising to me, like Forest's form. Um, it was honestly maybe a blind side for me just because of been mostly Villa focused, but well, I guess like our team's focused, right? But like I totally forgot that Ward Prowse is on loan
Yeah.
with Nottingham Forest. Adding him to that midfield and Elliot Anderson is pretty dynamic. Then Gibbs White, he's still reckless, yeah, on like that tackle, but also you can see how talented he is, like the chaos he causes. Chris Wood largely is still, a really good finisher up top, and Hudson Doyle and Alonga on the outside. Like they've put together like a really nice team. I mean, I even still like maybe biased, but like Alex Moreno, I think is a good attacking left back. Maybe not so much defensively for sure, but attacking, he's very solid. So they have lots of options there. I think that it's kind of wild to say that Forest is one of the undefeated teams. I wouldn't say that about you guys. I think that you guys have been playing really well. I like your lineup, and I think that you guys are like really close. And there's still you have to remember how many new guys you kind of integrated this year with all the money you spent. So I mean, and a new coaching staff. It's to be a work in progress, but be undefeated is still pretty special. So yeah, I think that you guys are on the right track, and I'd love to see Pedro healthy and Evan Ferguson getting some runs, and um, you guys will be exciting to watch as the season progresses. So
Yeah, I am nervous about Pedro. I think he's pretty much the linchpin of what we're trying to do. Him at that 10 position. It'll be interesting to see if Rooster goes again. He didn't have the best game against Forest. I'm
I
very
see
very
I see the talent there, but he looks like he's pushing.
yeah.
Like he looks like somebody who's feeling the weight of the transfer amount that they paid, right? Like
Yeah.
he's club record, right, Rooter?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so like that, like I see that too with Evan Nielsen at Bournemouth, where you have that like these tiny little clubs spending this crazy amount of money on one player and like having to live up to that, and like players like especially in the Premier League, it can be rough. So I mean, like Rooter only played. Did he play what, one season with Leeds before they went down?
I think so.
Yeah, or maybe a half season even. Um, So I think give him time to like integrate. I think he's super talented. I think you guys have a lot of really exciting options there. I think you're going to continue to grow and get better. And so does Herzler, right? Like I think he's still young. I mean, obviously very young, and he's learning too. It's going to be fun to watch as it goes forward. So
Yeah. The just for me being a hater, the Chelsea match makes me nervous. I really really want to win that, just because it's going to be not only you have Cucurella, you have Caicedo, like what they've done, Sanchez, but also guys like Drewsbury Hall, who the rumor is he'll get the start, as that was a battle between the two. I believe the story was he was on a plane to Brighton and got redirected towards London. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays against us. I'm really really hoping we get that win. And then just one last note, I guess, in regards to the Carabao Cup, the matchups came out. So we got Liverpool, which will be exciting.
awesome. Yeah, I should have looked mine up. I did not for this context, but I know I have some other of the future games that I can look at. I can pull it up here in a little bit. Um, No, I mean, I feel you on like the Chelsea game, right? Like, I think one for me that last year I didn't like really talk a whole lot about because I had like largely Villa had a really solid season last year, but something that still like fucking hurt me at my core was that we lost both games to Man United. Like
Yeah.
that shit gets at me. Um, so no, I feel you on like there's certain clubs. It's like it's almost like a dread. Like, come on, man. Like, just this one's gonna really bother me if we lose, and you really just want to get that over the hump and have that good feeling until a couple months later when we play them again. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So do you want to go into Villa?
Yeah. Let's cover Villa's matches.
All right. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna start at the weekend. So Premier League action on the weekend. We hosted Wolves. It's really like as far as for us, it's a derby, a Midlands derby. But we would both admit that Villa hate Birmingham City and more, and Wolverhampton hate West Brom more. But at the same time, still West Midlands, so it's a derby. Um, so it can be a little aggressive, but for us early on, we give up the goal to Cunha in the 25th minute. It's a sloppy pass from Carlos. He gets a start. After we talked about last week, that right back spot wasn't solidified. So here we go again. Carlos comes in at right center back, and Kansas pushed out to right back. Cash is out injured. So it's not just like Cash isn't playing; he's injured, and Bogart he's been trying. He's 20 years old. So Carlos makes this terrible pass. Cunha buries it off the inside of the post, down 1-0. So we go all the way to halftime, and then I think around the 60th something minute, um, uh, we end up bringing on John Duran. And then in the 73rd minute, we get a goal from Watkins, a great win by Duran. Like him and Watkins playing forward together. Rogers gets the ball, turns, plays it right into Watkins' feet, gets a nice little bounce off the defender's foot. Goal in the 73rd. All right, we're tied. Here we go. Now we're chasing. I also want to mention too, Barkley came on in the 65th minute in this game, or 62nd minute of this game, which was kind of controversial because Onana's been so great for us, but Barkley has been offering something off the bench that's been irresistible. It's John Duran. It's the same level as John Duran impact without any of the hype, and I'll get to that in a minute. But so in the 88th minute, Yuri gets the ball on the outside on the left flank, flies one to the far side, and here comes flying on the backside Ezri Konza, sliding like behind, like kicks behind him just to tap the ball in. We go 2-1, and then of course Duran, he's on the field, he's going to score. That's just kind of what his rate has been. In the fourth minute of extra time, Rogers with a second assist this game. Takes us to 3-1. We're good and home. I want to note, Rogers has been outstanding this year, and I think that almost to a point where he's a little bit overcovered. Like the hype, like he is super talented, but the hype is like super high right now. The way they're talking about him, and then I just pump the brakes. But he backed it up a little bit statistically. I think sometimes that people get dog him about like goals and assists, which they do come in sort of spurts for him, but like that doesn't really describe his impact when he's on the field. His physical presence, his ball winning skills, his hold up play, his connecting defense to offense quickly. He's just a super physical player. He's been great for us. He's outstanding. And then I do want to go back to Barkley, right? He's and I love Onana. The way that we play with him and Yuri Tillemans is, Onana's covering. Tillemans can go forward a little bit with Rogers, and you see some of that attack. But sometimes when we need an extra person sort of linking up play, Barkley off the bench has been so good. And like for the £5 million or whatever that we ended up paying for him, his impact has been incredible. Like, I mean, the way he dictates games, this game against Wolves, he was 98% on his passing, 100% on long balls over the 30 minutes he played. Like, just absolutely just, threading passes. Great veteran player to have out there for us. So, Yeah, I don't know if you have any other comments. I didn't know if you watched the game before we got into the Wickham game.
The the Barkley deal was a steal for you guys. I'll hit on. I know I've hit on that before, but yeah, I wanted Brighton to get him. He's like super experienced, super talented. I like him. And then just looking at the guys who came on for you, that's just ridiculous. Bailey, Barkley, Duran, and Buendia. That's just nuts.
mm, it is nice, and I'll kind of segue this between this game and the Wickham game. So I do want to talk about, like, we did do, I think, an excellent job this offseason of really building depth, right? Like, people talk about some of the way that the deals were structured, and you can talk about what return we got on Louise and stuff like that, and that's neither here nor there. I like that Ilian Jr. and Baranachera are on loan, getting experience right now. That having been said, we're already talking about, so before the Wickham game, Diego Carlos was supposed to start. He left. He got hurt in warmups, so he's out for. Um, Not sure how long that's going to be. Uh, in the in the Wolves game, McGinn went out, I think, right after halftime. He's with a hammy injury. He's going to be out for like probably a month and a half. Um, then we also lost Philogene Bades, who we had re-signed as a winger. That's why you've seen Caden Young. He started at Wickham here coming up. But also Young's been on the bench. Philogene's out with an injury. He might be out for another couple games. Cash is out with a thigh injury. He's been out for a couple games. Tyrone Ming still isn't probably going to be back until the end of October. But on the plus side, we might get Boubacar Kamara back at the end of October too. So we're we're already picked up a pretty healthy injury list, but I think that you can see how impactful the depth has been, and we'll talk about like some of the rotation here in a second. So going to the Villa Wickham game, right? We heavily rotate the squad. You see Buendia get a start. You see Duran get a start. You see Caden Young get a start. Leon Bailey starts. As he comes back from a little knock. Barkley and Onana start together in the midfield, so Tielemans gets the night off. And then on defense, you see Matson with his first start. Nedeljkovic, the 18-year-old from Red Star, on the right back. And then Diego Carlos was supposed to play right center back. He goes out injured. So Bojarda comes in, and I've been calling him Bogart. It is Bojarda. I found out during the course of the broadcast. He plays, and then Sil Swinkles, a Dutch player who played with the U21s last year, signed an extension, is playing where Tyrone Mings probably should be. He will be playing in a few months, but another young player with some promise. So here we go. This game, honestly, we struggled a little bit. It was 0-0 in the first half, and Wickham actually had some good opportunities. Um, you saw a couple link up mistakes. The defense looked a little shaky. But then we get to the second half, and then Caden Young takes a run at a guy. You can see Caden Young's talent. Runs to the defender on the outside, beats him across, hits one hard that deflects off the defender, bounces off the ground, and 5'2" generously, Emi Buendia rises for like a looping header to the far corner over the goalkeeper. For his first goal as he returns, I'm super happy for him. I think that people forget just how good of a preseason he had last year right before the injury. He was going to, we had a great season. He was going to play a huge part of that. He is like a brand new signing for us this season. I think he's going to grow into it like Tielemans did like 2 years ago, right, where we had brought him in on free. And it took him a little bit just to sort of integrate and get back into the team. I think he's going to see a lot of rotation with our schedule, right? We're going to go at a couple fronts here. So the depth is there. Duran's penalty, like I said, was probably one that if you look back that, maybe VAR would have looked at, it still would have been tough, but he definitely earned it, right? It was he went and earned himself all the same way Gibbs White did in the Brighton game. But he bears penalty again, so his goal streak continues. He's having an outstanding season. And yeah, just like I said, I wanted to mention Buendia with his start. He was actually captain on the night, which shows just what his like importance is to the locker room, to that team, especially after a player like Doug Luiz leaves. Like Emmy Buendia is a leader in that locker room. And then Caden Young looked actually really exciting too as a young winger. I'm hoping to see a nice run here from Philogene when he comes back healthy. But to know that there's another player pushing him behind him by Caden Young is just great to know we have that stuff in the wings. So yeah, I think that sort of catches us up on both of our squads here. But I don't know if you have any other comments, questions.
Caden Young wears 72. It's an ugly ass number.
Mm-hmm. That's a squad number. That's a Trent Alexander Arnold 66.
Yeah.
It's just what I'm saying. It's just like that's my squad number. So yeah, for real. No, he looked great though. And then I like that Jacob Ramsey got some time in there too because he was one of the guys that went off at the hour mark in the Wolves game. So he continues to get some runs here. He again was another guy that we didn't really talk about, but he's like another new signing for us. He didn't really play a lot last year. He fought injuries all last season. Only had one goal last year because he was fighting through injury. So him being back healthy and getting like an extended run is nothing but beneficial for us. Like we have I listed all those guys that we have injured, but like honestly, when those guys are back healthy, we are talking about some like really really quality depth, and I'm excited for that.
Also, Aiden Borland might be the most Scottish-looking Scottish person I've ever seen in my life. So if I can get the glare off it for the viewing, I guess not.
No,
This guy,
yeah.
that guy is very, very Scottish. 17 years old. He looks like he's fucking 40.
Yeah, oh, man. Yeah, he was a very small man. I saw some talent. But he was also listening to. It was like cool to see him. I know when he first subbed on, Buendia was still on, and there was like some times where like I saw like coaching on the field happening, right? Where like Buendia was like getting him, hey, you got to move here, like you have to be like here, and then he would make them reset the pass and start again, like hey, no, because like there's a young defense too, like this
Mm-hmm.
is the way we structure this out. So like he'd be like, no, recycle it back. And you saw Unai also on the side doing the same thing, like doing a lot of coaching. So I think it was cool experience for a lot of really young guys. There was a lot of young guys that played for us. A lot of young guys off the bench. I didn't really mention some of their names, but I think like 5 or 6 of the kids on the field at one point were 18 or 17 for us. So, and then another 2 or 3 that were only 20. So it was good to see those kids got to play and get some time and experience and kind of hold up. They like gave up a late goal, but like they had to fight out another 30 seconds. No big deal. So it was good,
Yeah.
man. All good things.
Wickham used to have that like lower league legend guy. I can't remember his name. He was just
Dude, you like
big. He's big.
yeah. I can't remember him either, but yeah, I loved that dude for sure. I remember they made it to the championship one season, and that was like he was just like fucking crying, like that they got promoted to the championship. I remember that like that had to been like 6 years ago, something like that.
There's some guys. Maybe I'll do that because I've been thinking of ways to accentuate the YouTube channel. So I was thinking about doing maybe videos about stuff like that. And one of the things would be maybe like lower league heroes of England. Cause
Hmm.
I mean, we've had them here, like USL Championship has guys. Nisa has had legendary dudes. Nagelstad from CFC was just an absolute menace in that league. So, I mean,
Oh, for
guys like that dude, I can't remember his name, but there has to be like several dudes that are just like, oh yeah, these were the guys in lower league.
sure. Yeah, no, that's fair. We could show him that. Hey, I was thinking. So I know we have City versus Arsenal on the docket here with maybe an extended discussion over some player comparisons. But I was thinking that we also are going to do 2 top fives tonight. Do you want to do a top 5 and then City Arsenal and then the other top 5 just to sort of break it up a little bit?
Yeah, you want to do left-footed attackers first?
Yeah, let's do it. I think that one's going to be a much more broad conversation than the follow up one. So
Okay. So I didn't have any OLIs for this one. I have OLIs I have two for the managers one, but
you have two OLIs for the managers, but none for the left footed. Okay, well, I feel like you were discounting some left footed attackers, sir. But let me give you my OLI then. My OLI is Robin van Persie. Arsenal monster, but like Van Persie was fucking. He was such a fucking G at United for 2 or 3 seasons. Um, Outstanding. Like he scored some of my most favorite goals. I think it was the 2014 World Cup goal where he was like the Flying Dutchman, where the diving header. You know what I'm talking about, where it was like from like 40 yards out on the left,
yeah.
swinging in. Yeah. But yeah, dude, he was outstanding. So that was my OLI. So you can do number 5 for you.
All right. So number 5 is Mo Salah, and also in my defense, when this subject came up,
Of
I was
of
currently
of
making dog
all of all time.
of all time. That man is
Okay.
amazing. I was making this list while making dog number 1 dog food and number 2 Indian food for my wife. So it's a little hard to stir and do notes. But yeah, Mohamed Salah, probably one of the greatest Premier League players, period. But just an absolute legend.
Can can I just like level set for a minute and say that like I stretched a little bit on my top 5 and I left off
Uh,
players like Georges Haji, fucking Rivaldo, um, oh god, there's so many like good Raul from Real Madrid,
yeah.
like I none of those guys, David Silva are like is not like those guys are not on my list. And you okay, uh, I mean yes, most laws good for sure.
So Silva, the only time that counts for him is Valencia. Everything after that is 115 charges.
Yes. Okay. Sure. Sure. All right. Yeah. Don't discount anything he did from like that dominant 2008 to 2012 Spain team either. Like
Yeah.
no big deal there.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5 for me. The fucking galloping horse. He is a podcast. Jake. I think we've mentioned this before, but it is probably one of our earliest episodes. We refer to this man as the galloping horse, Gareth Bale. Just an outstanding fucking player. The goals that he scored with Tottenham, and then the impact he had at Real Madrid. He's just incredible. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Like when he was on, man, he was so goddamn good. So yeah, number 5 for me, Gareth Bale.
Salah's better than him.
Oh
Number
my
4.
god, it's not.
Number 4 is Hugo Sanchez, Mexican legend, I guess CONCACAF legend by default. I've mentioned on here before, 30-something goals for Real Madrid one season, all of them one-timers. The dude was just fucking awesome. So yeah, Hugo Sanchez.
Okay, all right, that's a good one. My next one is probably like, arguably statistically, um, there's no denying that he is one of the best of all time. I think he's probably consistently pretty underrated, but he leads the Premier League all time in assists, and it's not even close. Like De Bruyne can't fucking carry his jockstrap, and De Bruyne is number 2. It is Ryan Giggs from Man United. Just a terror for 22 years or some shit like in the Premier League. And like his longevity and his effectiveness during that longevity was unmatched. Like he is synonymous with United's dominance of the Premier League from start to finish.
All right. So number 3, I know we said attackers, but I equated that to goal scorers. So my number 3 is Roberto Carlos. Some of the greatest goals you've ever seen.
I didn't even include him in like as I was like, he's a defender, but yeah, I know he's an attacker. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, some of the greatest goals you ever seen, the banana goal, all that stuff, indirect free kicks for offensive as an offensive weapon. Roberto Carlos, number 3, and one of my personal favorites of all time.
Nice. Okay. Um, Number 3 for me. Again, probably a little bit more of like close to home, but um, I had to put him up this high because he is the one player that I synonym like when I think left-footed player, he is synonymous with left-footed player because he is only and specifically and exclusively a left-footed player. But like, and you knew it was coming, and he still beat you every time. It was Arjen Robben. Um, he was so good, like my entire childhood, and like with the Dutch, like his time with the Dutch national team, like Chelsea, Bayern, everywhere he played, man, super good. And you knew he was going to be cut in. He was played right wing, and you knew he was going to cut it on his left foot, and it didn't fucking matter. You weren't going to stop it. You know, he is the first, you know, like I said, the first player I think of when I think of a left-footed player.
All right. So number 2 and 1, I believed were obvious, but you might have something different. So number 2 is Maradona.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number two, Maradona.
So
Finish me off.
Messi.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I even had, dude. I like same note too, bro. I had the note on here. I said like these, like there's no discussion points that needed for these two because like, duh, like,
Yeah.
like there's no discussion there. Like 100%. Like that. You know, for the two of you at home watching, there was no pre-discussion to that. That was just like that was, you know, you just know.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
The only thing that I'll add to it is I was thinking about it the other day, like some random, like on one of the random streaming channels I had, it was a Maradona documentary, but like imagine how much better that dude would have been if he didn't have a drug problem. Like he was doing the Napoli shit with a drug problem.
I just mean sometimes I think Jake, like maybe he wouldn't have been as good for like those peak years if he hadn't been full Diego. Maybe it was supposed to be, you know, um, a sparkler instead of a fucking candle. You know, just shit's just gonna burn out quick. Like,
Yeah. Like
I don't
the
know.
alcoholic that quits drinking and he just dies. So
Yeah. It was really sad, man. I thought that the
yeah.
whole like I think I saw that documentary that like it was sad, but like also like I always like try to like tell people when they're like, oh yeah, like you know being an American, like American specific sport, like I guess basketball is more international now than it's ever been, but like football to an extent, those guys don't like translate the way that soccer players do, like around the globe. Like, do you feel that pressure, like to feel that like crush on you is just I can't imagine like what that stress would be like. So
Yeah. I mean that mentality, like what you're discussing right now, that comes in heavily on my my manager's list. But I guess we're. Oh, go ahead.
kick us. Give me a little prelude here. Give me a preamble for City Arsenal with all of your thoughts, feelings, opinions of the game. Like, give me like beginning to end little actioner here, if you
Okay.
will.
So I watched the first half on someone else's tablet. I watched I watched the rest of the game mainly as extended highlights. Some of the big notes from this match is obviously Holland is unstoppable, but also a douche. Um, Arsenal fans are extremely horny for Calafiori, who scored one of the best goals of the season so far, and Gabriel might be one of the greatest scoring defensemen of all time. Um, City are undeniable usually, but especially when you're playing a man down. I was super surprised that Arsenal was able to hang on for as long as they did. It was just a super defensive effort. Arteta was talking about how proud he was of his guys, and I would be too. I don't understand how they were able to hang on that long against a team full of the absolute firepower of Manchester City. So this is pretty much the game for the ages for this season. I really enjoyed it as a casual fan watching it. I was more partial to Arsenal because I do have some Arsenal fan friends. Sorry, Michael, but so some of the things I was going into, Jimmy, was Holland, unstoppable, kind of a douche.
I got you.
Oh, you heard them all.
I got you. Yeah.
So one thing I want before I launched into sort of my rant about Arsenal fans and players is Arsenal, you guys got to calm down about this Calafiori thing. Like, you've seen attractive players before. Like, y'all are zesty for this man. Y'all are zesty for this man.
Hey, listen. I mean, maybe Thierry Henry, but like, I Arsenal, I don't really equate usually with handsome players.
I mean, I guess not, but yeah, like they got all the Instagram posts now where it's like when you're cheering on Arsenal, but Calafiori makes eye contact with you, and the guy's like, yeah.
I got the vapors.
So now that that's out of the way, the main thing I wanted to say is yeah, another harsh yellow, but learn the fucking rules. It already happened to you once this year, and you just fucked yourself. Trossard, I'm not a big fan of anymore because I just think he's kind of a prick. But like you know what they're gonna do, and I understand that might have been out of frustration, and I understand it was a different situation than the Veltman one because Veltman actually made it look like he was going for a kick. No one was from City was around that ball, but you still booted it. It was the exact same thing that got Rice sent off, and you did the exact same thing for the exact same result. And we can discuss all the conspiracy theories about this ref going to fucking Dubai at one point in time. We can go through all that shit if you want to. Oh, City's got the league by the balls, all that stuff. It still comes down to you doing something dumb that you could have learned from 2 matches ago. So that's where I'll end that.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I thought it was crazy. Like the stats were wild to look at, right? Like the fact that this game came down to a tie. So I mean, the obvious possession, right? Like I think City would have had probably primary possession anyway, but to be for an entire half with man advantage, there 77%. 11 shots on target to only get 2 goals. Raya, playing solid, I guess.
Actually, that's before you go on. That was the one thing I wanted to ask you as a goalkeeper. What do you think of Raya? Because I remember thinking that dude was butt when he came over, and he has looked incredible this season.
He's played well. Like I think that he's made ordinary look extraordinary. I think that like people forget he's very small. So like some of these like athletic saves he's making, they're like saves that a modern sized goalkeeper would just be physically already able to make, I guess, like just by basic positioning. He's in the right places. He's doing the right things. I think that like that shouldn't be discounted, but I don't think he's special. And I had that discussion with one of my close friends who's an Arsenal fan. And I admit that he's talented, but I guess I don't see anything special about him in particular. He's Spain's number 3, right? Like,
yeah,
eh. But yeah, 33 shots total generated by City, right? So like they're pressing obviously all game. But you take a point away, at City. So that's it's good. You have it in your back pocket that they have to come to you later in the season when you might need a couple points. but I think that there's the discussion that we'd roll into is obviously there's some key missing people already on both teams. I think Odegaard was out, De Bruyne still out injured for City. Um, so they're dealing with some of that, and then in this game you see Rodri go down with what ends up being an ACL, which ends his season, which is I think for all of the things that I don't like about City as the club, like, and how frustrating it is to lose them all the time, I do have a general appreciation for like it's really fucking good football. Like, I mean, they're really good, and Rodri is, especially coming off of that Euros with Spain, the way he played, about to be a you know Ballon d'Or winner. So I think that part of the game sort of sucks, and then the red card happens, and the second half of that game is you know it takes the sting out of it, right? They talk about like the dark arts. It's what any team would do who's desperately trying to hold on to points. I don't care if you are like a title favorite like Arsenal, or if you are fucking Ipswich, on the road just trying to fucking get a point in the Premier League. You are going to do whatever you can to make that shit happen. Just drag the clock out. You're going to do that at every fucking turn, and there's no team in that Premier League that's holier than thou that wouldn't also perform the same thing in that situation, given those circumstances. So I think that while you can be upset about it, you also, it's one of those things that, like, we talk about players like Neil Maupay and stuff like that. It's one of those things that you hate it when other clubs do it, but it's okay when it's on your team.
Oh yeah.
So
And there's like the goalies dropping thing, like exactly like you said. As a Locomotive fan, obviously this season has been terrible, and we see goalies do that against us all the time. But when it was Logan Ketterer in net, and we were going to the Western Conference Finals, the minute Ketterer caught it and fell down, that whole stadium blew up because that's what you want. That's what you like. I don't like the holier than thou stuff. You have to do that in that situation. You are playing against probably the most talented club in the world, and you're a man down. So it's like going into a fight with Mike Tyson with like one arm behind your back. It sucks. Like you have to do it. I get it completely.
for sure. So I did want to ask. I think I asked this in our little like pre-show warm up. Um, it, if you had to pick one player for City for like their success of a season, who is more valuable to that success, Rodri or Erling Haaland?
So I think Rodri deserves the Ballon d'Or. I think he was the best player in the world last year, as far as like Euros, and then his time at City went. I think Haaland's more important because that machine's going to keep rolling. And I haven't paid attention to City like through like obviously they had Sergio Aguero, but I don't think they've ever seen anything like Haaland. So it's like Pep tactics, like the build up, the possession, the passing, all that stuff. You have Pep tactics, but now you have this fucking Norwegian Terminator in the middle of it, and it's just
Man,
insane.
I feel like he's the end product of the machine, though.
Yeah.
Like he's the pretty head of it, but I feel like Rodri is the heartbeat that makes it thump. Like Kovacic is just not a fill for him. Gundogan is not a fill for him. De Bruyne, even when healthy, is not a fill for what Rodri does. I know they played like a Kanji there. I've seen them play John Stones there. And while those guys are like, show their, dynamicism, they're not what Rodri does. Um, I believe it's Rodri more importantly, and I think that I think just based on depth, you wouldn't say that Holland could be more important just because they sold off. Um, who's the Argentinian kid to
Oh,
Atletico
Alvarez.
Madrid? Yeah, thank you, Julian Alvarez. Um, because you sold him off, right? And then Oscar Bob gets hurt, so you lose an attacker. I think that they're lacking an out and out nine if Holland goes down, but at the same time, just in a perfect world, I would say Rodri is more important to what City does than Holland is. But that's not discounting what Holland is as a machine.
Yeah.
So. All right, so you want to go into top 5 coaches? You said you have an OLI for that one.
Yeah, but just to finish this up, Arsenal, stop doing dumb shit. The league's not against you guys, I don't believe. Of all the people that the Premier League I think would want to mess with, it would be City, just because they're just breaking the rules in front of the officials all the time. I mean, 115 charges. You would think that the Premier League would want to get back at them as opposed to a clean-cut club like Arsenal who's had success in the past. So just stop kicking the ball away. It's that easy. But so my OLI, do you want me to name off both of them?
Yeah, go with your first OLI. I guess I only have one.
Okay.
So you can do OLI. I'll do mine. You can do your second OLI. Then I'll do 5.
So my OLIs aren't really obviously the best managers in the world, but they are 2 to me that have done tremendous jobs in the positions they were in. So number 1 OLI is Mark Lowry, former manager of El Paso Locomotive. It took a lot for me to put him here because I still hate the guy's guts because he abandoned us because El Paso wasn't a good enough jumping off point to MLS. So fuck him for that. But if you look at the history of Locomotive, like what has happened since he's left, it's become completely obvious that he held things together through just an absolutely lost front office and upper management. Led us to 2 straight Western Conference finals, and all 3 years he was here, we made the playoffs. So Mark Lowry, OLI.
Nice. Yeah. No. My OLI, I also went with a more of a homer type pick, and the shirt is also appropriate for this man. So my OLI is actually Ben Pierman. Actually came through, like I think he goes to like Michigan State and some travel teams in the state, and then ended up working for DCFC before they're fully professional, and then ended up moving on like from Michigan State's staff to USL Championship side in Memphis, gets them to go to the playoffs, and then goes to Charleston. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference. They go to the title game, host the title game. They do lose to Phoenix, but this year's got them right back up top. He's had like a really successful career everywhere he's been. He's been built good teams. So yeah, I think he deserves a good shutout, man. Like I'm a DCFC fan for the purposes of this podcast. But I went to the Charleston game with Michael last year. Got to see them live. They have a really fun product, and I appreciate the way he builds those teams. So yeah, Ben Pierman deserves a shout out here. So
yeah. So my second OLI, again, going lower league, and just because this is near and dear to my heart. One of the reasons Maryland Bobcats is great is because of the people that manage and run the organization, from Jay Saba, the president/owner, to one of the former players who they promoted to manager, Alex Cow. He's done a tremendous job. Super long unbeaten streak. Hopefully they're going to the playoffs as the number 1 overall seed. Not even just in the Eastern, like they were the best team in the league this year by far. Actually added, I don't know if you saw this or not, they added Bill Hamid.
Oh, I did not. I didn't see that.
Bill Hamid is now the starting goalkeeper for Maryland Bobcats.
That's incredible, man. That dude's had a real wild journey. Like, he's younger than I am, I think.
Yeah. He is big, man. He's big.
Yeah,
and nice dude. It's just insane to me that there's a USMNT former starting goalkeeper I mean, he's played some games for them. Like, he's made the team. Like, he's
Yeah.
on Maryland Bobcats now, and that's insane. So, shout out to Alex Cal, though. He's done some different things, like Richard Forka, who's one of our best center backs for years. My personal favorite Maryland Bobcat of all time. He moved him into more of like an attacking fullback this year, and it worked. And so, big shout out, Alex Cal. Go win that trophy.
Dude, I like if I was an American goalkeeper, I would like, and I hit like, 40, 41, or like as a goalkeepers can play late, but like, you get to your end of whatever your, Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, whatever your career is. I would definitely come home and play like all sorts of crazy lower league, like leagues. Like I'd play till I was 50, playing for like NISA clubs and stuff like that, just because I could, because that'd be fun.
The major, what is it? The MASL. Just go play arena, so you don't got to move
Oh
around as
yeah,
much.
yeah. Well, that shit's hard on your body though. Like
Yeah.
the indoor is way harder on my body than outdoor. All right, so the top best five coaches currently coaching right now for me. Number 5 for me, and this is, it's a little bit recency bias, but like it's definitely earned. You see the impact and the quality level play they've had, the incredible record he's put together. For me right now, it's Xabi Alonso at Bayern Leverkusen. I think that it's more than just the talent he has there. I think he's molded the players into his image and how he wants them to perform, and those guys, like those players, are reaping the benefits from that. So it's been really fun to watch. They are like always exciting when you put them on. So Xabi Alonso for me is number 5.
So I'm feeling like an idiot that I didn't add him. But in my mind, I did like a combination of things, like pressure from the club. I've done past form, sort of current form, and then personality as well. So my number 5 is Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid. Just an absolute piece of shit. Like, just annoying person, but 2 La Liga titles. He's got a Copa del Rey. He's got a Supercopa de España, 2 Europa Leagues. He's got 2 UEFA Super Cups. He's been runner-up in the Champions League twice. He's kept Atletico Madrid. While, Spain had the big 4, Real, Barca, Valencia, and Atletico.
Yeah.
He's been able to keep it as sort of the big 3, as Valencia is now in a relegation battle.
But like I just out of because I can't remember, is Peter Lim still Valencia?
Yeah, he still owns it. He's going to drive that thing into the dirt.
God damn, what a piece of shit!
They won that first game.
That was that whole relationship with Gary Neville, and then him managing there, and then they own Salford City together. You guys got to take care of my boy. I know I saw Baranachea was starting the other day for Valencia, so I hope that he's getting good experience there. I'm still excited about him future state, but I'm glad that he's getting. I'd rather him getting consistent playing time than kind of fighting for scraps the way some of our guys are playing right now. So.
Yeah, that's been depressing. But yeah, Diego Simeone, number 5 for me, just based on being able to hang in there with those monsters that they have in that division.
For sure. All right, number 4 for me, and is obviously a homer pick, but like also one that I think is arguably true is for me Unai Emery is number 4. His resume is speaks volumes. He wins titles at European levels, at club levels. His impact. He just surpassed. He's the winningest manager in Aston Villa history in his first like 2 seasons or something like that. I can't remember what the exact stat was, but like his win rate is for his first 500 game. I can't remember what the number is. First whatever number of games is like the best of all time. But yeah, like you see the impact and where Villa are because he is their manager. For me, he's number 4. So
Okay. So I like that pick as well, except for when he was playing against Valencia at their rivals Villarreal. So
yes,
uh, my number 4, again, going on to the pressure, we got more of a modern guy who on the grand scheme of things hasn't really won a lot. But I think you'll appreciate the part I'm about to mention. Rangers legend, Arteta. So
Jesus Christ.
I just want to I need to get it out because I know it seems like a bad thing, but I want everyone to think back to pandemic Arsenal. Take your mind back to pandemic Arsenal, the absolute memes. And that man has, yes, with a lot of money behind him, but he's taken that team to go head to head and to be able to hold off. He has a team now, and he's managed that team to be able to hold off Manchester City with a man down. That guy knows what he's doing, and everyone wanted him fired. He's my number 4.
He's fucking shit, mate. He's fucking shit. I have said this directly to my friend's face, who is an Arsenal fan. I don't like. I think that you guys have actually I think that not you guys. I think Arsenal's actually gotten recruitment right, but I think it's Arteta is getting the results of the talent he has, and not the other way around. So anyway,
Turn Havertz into a competent number 9.
oh, for Christ's sake. Yeah, anybody who got away from Chelsea, don't forget the fact that he fucking absolutely dominated at Bayer Leverkusen before. So no big deal. All right, number 3 for me. Honestly, I love him the older he gets, and you really do appreciate just how successful he is almost literally everywhere he goes, including at just a real fucking wild stop in Everton. It for me is Carlo Ancelotti. Um, you know, just an absolute fucking G of a coach. Um, I love that he's still doing it with Real. I don't think there's another coach in the world right now that could be coaching those egos in that locker room other than Carlo Ancelotti. Maybe Zizou, but Zizou's not coaching right now, so he can't be part of this list. But yeah, for me, Carlo Ancelotti, number 3.
You'll see him later on. My number 3, because he is still active. He's fallen off a fucking cliff, but going from doing the most with the least and then doing the most with the most at certain points in his career. Just absolutely shit at man management. I'm pretty sure there's some guys who love him, some guys who hate him. My number 3 is the special one, Jose Mourinho. The last few years have just been ugly as shit, but we're talking about a man who led fucking Porto to a Champions League victory. His time at Chelsea, his time at Inter Milan, the match against Pep in the final, just fantastic. And then
I would say like up to and I'm not even discounting the fact that he won a bunch of trophies after, but he was super dominant. I would say right up there with 2012 Mourinho, right before he moved to Real Madrid, was he won literally everything he touched. He had the Midas touch,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, those Inter Milan teams were insane. Oh yeah, you guys, Barcelona, you can have Zlatan. I'll take Eto'o back, and I'll still fucking beat you in the end. Him running out, them turning the sprinklers on him, and him not caring. Or when it was Zlatan and Pep talking, and he comes up behind him and he goes, "The game's not over." And then he kind of wanders back, and Pep's like, what the fuck? Yeah, like, obviously, I know he coached a team that you rooted for, and I know that it's got to be frustrating. I know Mike probably hates him from the Tottenham stuff too, but as a casual guy, like, it was just fun to see him do his thing. And yeah, the end of it's been dumb and it's been bad, but I mean, he got a Europa Conference League out of Roma, so
That's true.
bon
That is
voyage,
true.
special one.
Yes, indeed. Fenerbahce, hell for you. Uh, all right. So number two for me. I mean, we talk about a real Midas touch here. I think that there's an argument to be made that yes, everywhere he goes, he wins everything he touches, but also the clubs, the teams that have been assembled for him have been inarguably the greatest collection of talents at every stop he's been to. Number two for me is Pep Guardiola. Those Barcelona teams were special, and I don't discount what he brought to that team from a tactics point of view, and really how he changed world football. I mean, largely Spanish football, right? But like the tiki taka type style, but to utilize the talent that was already there with Barcelona, like, is a blessing. Do it at Bayern and coach that team. Even though like you could say they were totally successful because they didn't win the Champions League with him. But that was a Xabi Alonso Bayern Munich, right? Like that was, you see the influence now. Xabi Alonso, who I mentioned earlier, number five, um, when he was a player at Bayern with Pep, and then obviously and arguably um, the second most dominant manager of the Premier League outside of Sir Alex Ferguson, and then those two guys are like neck and neck, and it's not close anywhere else. And the Premier League, for all of its flaws, to me is the preeminent league when it comes to world football. So Pep Guardiola number two is appropriate. So
I have Pep at number two as well. Um, yeah, not to piggyback on what you said, but
well,
yeah, just
well
the
then I'm gonna ask you to skip yours and just hit me with your number one, and I'll finish up.
okay, yeah. So, like I said before, I was actually having this discussion with my friends that I play indoor with
Mhm.
today. Um, so my number one thing for this was pressure, and in my opinion, Carlo Ancelotti is the best manager in the world right now. For the team he has to work for, the people he has to convince to do their job, there, in my opinion, there is nobody better. Like, he is managing the biggest club in the world with the biggest
Is
players in the world, biggest personalities in the world.
dare I say, for 80s kids like me, probably more me than you, um, he's like Phil Jackson, like 90s Chicago Bulls Phil Jackson, just handling talent and still molding like a game plan.
Yeah. And they've done a good job. It's not like he's getting, like, obviously there's still like the Galacticos mentality of, Mbappe's at the fucking team now. But if I'm not mistaken, guys like Rodrigo, guys like Vinicius Jr., like, they were plucked from Brazil to come be Real Madrid players. Like, he's
Right.
developing guys. He's also convincing players like Mbappe, like, hey, this isn't PSG. Like, you're our biggest name player, but you also have these other three attackers in Rodrigo, in Vinicius, in Bellingham, that are going to be ball dominant as well. Like, I'm going to have to convince you to live with this. And so, yeah, like, just, I mean, everything he's accomplished, he's won trophies in every Big Five league in Europe. He's just won trophies everywhere, period. Like, the guy just wins. But like what he does. And this was hard for me too, because I hate Real Madrid. I cannot stand that club. I don't like them. The Galacticos with Beckham was like a cool thing, like that I didn't necessarily understand as a kid. Like I knew who Beckham was and I knew who Zidane was, and I thought this was cool. But as I've grown older, I've grown just kind of, it grosses me out. Like that style of recruitment, that style of dominance. I don't like it, but you to have to deal with those egos, especially 20-something-year-olds that are now multi millionaires, and to convince them to do what you want, that's in my opinion why he's the greatest right now.
No, that's fair. Like I think those are all legit arguments. I have some differentiation between him and Pep, and that's kind of why that kind of fell there. But number one for me is inarguable. Like on form, like currently is it's not even close right now.
Fabian
Um,
Hertzler.
no, I mean, I'm talking about it. Um, the team is undefeated. Uh, their goal for a goal against ratio is 31-4 through 4 games. It's the team most dominant in their division, the U8 Green Clovers of AYSO 212, and it's Coach Karn right here in front of you boys. My team is absolutely wrecking. The U8 girls Green Clovers of AYSO 212 is easily the most we're the Johan Cruyff. I'm Johan Cruyff, of soccer and what we've built here in this program. And I got to tell you that I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. We've really like folded in some extra layers to how we attack stuff and trying to make it fun for everybody. But it's dominance unlike anything we've ever seen in modern day sports. So number one for me is me, motherfucker. So
Are your fullbacks inverting? I mean,
it is a 4v4 goalieless game. and it's U8. So like here's the thing. So U8 means that it's anywhere from like second graders to like old kindergartners. Like kindergartners are rare. It's mostly first and second graders. But there's most teams with a bunch of first graders, and I have nothing but second graders, and not a single one of them is a dandelion picker. Not a single one of them is a butterfly chaser. They are all ball hungry, aggressive, and 6 inches taller than everyone else on the field. Like
well, you got you some Italians. You got to get you some Italians.
I don't know. We don't have a lot of that. Or in this part of the country, I don't see a lot of that. No, we have lots of big fucking Dutch kids and like and my kid's like my kid is a giant. Like she is in like she's not quite 8 years old, but she's getting close. But she's like the 95th percentile for height and weight. Like and so like sometimes I feel bad. There's just kids that come up to her like her chest, and she's doing great. She's having a good time, which it's been fun for me. I didn't want to coach. It wasn't something that like it was. I've coached. I've coached like varsity sports in the past, like both men's and women's soccer. I've done travel coaching and all sorts of stuff like that. I've done even down to like goalie personal trainings and stuff. But I didn't want to coach my kid because I just wanted to be a parent and like get to watch her play. AYSO is hard because it's an all volunteer organization. So it got to the point where they said, hey, we either need people to step up and volunteer or we're just not going to be able to support these teams. So I wanted to make sure that my kid could play and some other kids could play. So I'm doing it and it's fun. Like it's great. Like it's hard work, but like I am glad that my daughter is doing so well with the conversation that I had to have with her. I said, hey, listen, it's not fair being coach's kid, like especially at your age. Like I don't want you to feel like the kids are not going to like you because coach is hard. And then
Hey, we
I
lost
mean,
your mic. There we go.
yeah, there we go. It's ASO, right? So um, it's I don't want them. I don't want her to feel weird about it, and I don't want her. I don't want the experience to be ruined because her dad's the coach. And it's been tough, but it's been great so far. She's doing so much better than I thought she would, and the team's doing great, and it's been so much fun. But I gotta toot my own horn. So long-winded number one for me.
There you go. I'll be rooting for you. Where can we buy the scarves?
Yeah, uh, just a nice donation to your local AYSO region is plenty. And those poor people, like the one guy who runs, so our region, like I said, ASO is broken up by regions, right? Um, the guy in our region who's the director, there's like 8 seats on the committee, and he sits in 6 of them. Um, just because there's no one else. It's hard enough to get people to volunteer to be coaches. Getting
Yeah.
people to volunteer to be referees is another thing, and then getting people to volunteer to be part of this committee and organize all this stuff. People, are just trying to get by, and like and even regardless of what your situation is, like, um, we talk about this all the time in my family, like, my family with our kids and stuff like that. We're busy doing stuff like that, but we have lots of close family friends who are, we call them dinks, double income, no kids. And like, that's cool too. Like, but those people are like also busy. They got lives and things that they want to do and stuff to accomplish. So, um, yeah, man, it's just that balance, I guess. Like, anyway.
Well, that's good. That's good that you have that mentality as far as your kid goes. Like that was we've talked about this in the chat before, but um that was always my dad's thing, and he handled, shout out to my pops, he handled sports pretty much the way you should with your kid,
Mm.
which is where it was, you want to do it or do you not want to do it? And if you want to do it, I'll help you do it. And that was always the best mentality in my opinion. And my dad coached basketball one time. He had the Pep Boys drill. That was his big claim to fame. You kind of move around the paint to different positions in the paint, depending on the play. And you say, Manny, get the ball, pass it out. Mo, get the ball, pass it out. Jack, get the ball, pass it out. And that's the drill. But he always told me he very much preferred being a fan. He was, we were the Cyclones one year, and he would blow like those little like
Oh,
whizzer things that
yeah.
go like, woo! Yeah.
Yeah. I
And it
got
would be him by himself. Let's go Cyclones! And then we were the Thundercats one year, and that was our cheer, was Thunder, Thunder, Thundercats, and then my dad from by himself up on the top row of the bleachers. Oh,
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, it definitely, that's a great shout out. That was definitely my dad. So like my dad's family, like my dad was an immigrant, like right from Canada. And he played like ice hockey growing up, and then also like football because he went to American high school and stuff like that. Um, and so for me playing soccer, it was so totally foreign for him. But like there, like you can ask all the kids I grew up with, like everyone absolutely like knew my like dad, 'cause he was so loud. Like he was so loud. Like I remember going to like my brother's football game when he was in high school, and I was in college. I went with my dad, and like some of the high school kids tried to hand my dad like a megaphone because my dad was always running his mouth. And he's like, no, he's like, I don't need any of that. And I'm like, yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't need any extra help because he is so loud. I remember there was I think my senior year, there was a high school game where friend of the pod, friends of the pod, my friend Matt Babel and Tyler Michnick can speak to this, but uh, we were away at Plainwell, and Tyler Michnick's mom started chirping the referee, and he like stopped the game, started like, he was like, who said that? And my dad like started chirping that back to him, like, shut the fuck up and play that game. Like just starts like yelling at this guy. And I'm like, oh God. And they both got thrown out of the game. Like that's just like that was my dad. Like he just I think it was a hockey mentality, right? Like he couldn't stop just like chirping people, like but like he was loud as fuck. So like everyone heard him when he was doing it. Oh shit! I mean, I remember like because I'm loud too because I play goalie, running my mouth all the time. Um, I remember him shouting from like the crowd at the referee, and like I'm trying to get him to like stop, and I'm shouting back at him from the field, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" Like this, like just trying to get after him. But I feel you, right? Like Pop's gonna talk. Pop's got opinions, so
Yeah. And that was always the thing is like I would get the funniest thing too is like my parents were divorced when I was like in third grade, but like I somehow lucked out with parents that were mature enough to be friends with each other. So I would always get advice from my dad, especially like I played hockey. My dad was a really good ice hockey player. I played roller hockey. But same thing with basketball. Like I would get advice from him where he'd be like, okay, like this guy is doing this to you. What do you think you should do something else? And I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense or whatever. We would talk it out. And then of course my mom would be like, Jake, shoot it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, got it. But so I don't really have a rant. Just a reminder to Wilmer Cabrera, manager of the El Paso Locomotive. Your son's a bum. Stop playing him. And then also,
as a PSA,
go to your local animal shelter and adopt some animals. I don't know if you heard it, but as I was rolling to get them, I think I might have ran this one's tail over with the rolling chair. So it's spooky season too. There's plenty of black kitties.
You caught my Bob quip last time, right? No one else addressed it, but I saw you smile when I said it. I said, "Thanks, Bob."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. We hadn't discussed it offline or anything else. I just wanted to ask. No, I don't really have a rant either. I just wanted to talk about like really quickly. I just wanted to highlight. I recognize the effort and financial backing Villa's owners have put into the stadium and also like the quality of the off field type stuff. So like this year, Villa TV super stepped it up. We hired like an extra presenter, like I can't remember her name, but she reminds me very much of the girl from Ted Lasso. Oh, help me out.
I don't watch that show.
Anyway, so yeah, but she's great, and like the quality of the videos they put out are fantastic. So they started this series called Pitch Side, where after every game they do like it's like field level, but it's like and then it's all the stuff building up. So like from getting them off the bus, and it's all just native sound. So it's whatever's happening there. There's no commentary, no music, no production. It's that volume. So like them, shaking hands as they're coming off the bus, going into coming out of the tunnel, stretching out in the field, touches on the ball, and then it's like the sideline and end line, local video cameras. So like the views are different. It's just crowd noise and stuff like that. And they have these like 8 to 10 minute videos after each game of the highlights and stuff like that. And the production value is it's documentary worthy. Like I can't wait. Like if they told me that they were going to take each one of those and put them into like a full like season wrap up, like on a DVD, I would still pay for that. I don't even have a DVD player anymore, but I think I would still pay for that shit because I would want it. Like I'd want to be able to go back and look at it, because it's so well done, and I really appreciate the investment that they're making, to make this whole experience great for somebody like me. And there's something we said about supporting your local club and us being, outsiders looking in, but like as somebody who wants to support that club from abroad and is doing all of the things I can to be able to get a product like that from the club, for free on YouTube on these videos that they're sending out each game is above and beyond, and it's worthy of being recognized. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. You think teams are starting to gather more media in regards to being able to sell it, like the sort of drive to survive mentality now, or
I mean, yes and no. I think it's just about like, what can we take from this to drive interactions, right? So like you want to like in a global market, how are we touching fans that aren't like, in in Birmingham or in,
yeah,
in England. And so like how can we engage them also through social media and all of those avenues and those sort of things, and being savvy and smart in those spaces is invaluable. I think that especially when you're talking about driving growth as far as your bottom line. So like, Villa has been pretty aggressively strategic with moving to Detroit City's already been rocking them for a while, but moving to Adidas, which is also controversial because Nasser is on the Adidas board. But anyway, um, well, like you have to build the business outside the club, as long as the balance is that you build the business to drive the performance of the club. That's something that I can support. The things that you can't, like, that become, even from a distance, aren't supportable is if all you're worried about is the business and you don't care about the results on the field, which is what happened with clubs like United and stuff like that. So um I appreciate their investment in some of these spaces to enhance the world users experience. It's been really good. So
it's good. I'm gonna have to look up to see if Brighton's doing anything like that. I have their app. I probably should be checking it more than I am.
yeah, I check all my scheduling through there now. I don't like I don't go, even with the Premier League app. I don't check my schedule for Villa through there. I like to go to the app because then I can see the full comprehensive of it, because they'll have like the full Carabao Cup and any FA Cup and now Champions League and all those sorts of stuff. I can see it laid out um, all together, and that's kind of nice that way too. And then they usually have like that, like, exclusive stuff like the pitch size stuff series I talked about, but also pre-match reviews. You can go directly to seeing well edited videos of like Unai Emery pre-match pressers and stuff like that. They have all those posted there. It's really nice and comprehensive. Like I use it probably close to a daily basis at this point. So
I gotcha. So, do we have anything else that we need to clear up, or is this going to be good night?
that was a real soft landing there.
Yeah, I mean, Mike is the best. Like, he's got good stuff, and he's the best traffic cop. I don't know how to end these things.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we can let's just let this like awkward conversation to sort of roll out, and like Mike can just fade this down, and we sort of fall off into whatever song he's created for the episode. So
I would,
YouTube is going to be a hell of a way to finish, though. This is a real dry run.
yeah,
Hi,
I have
YouTube.
to, yeah, I have to edit the YouTube, which means I just don't edit the YouTube. I
That
just
sounds
stick it
right.
up there. But
You gotta
yeah,
work on your producer role, bud.
Mike, we miss you. Come on back. Also, last thing before we go, I might not be able to make it because I have a game tomorrow. But watch this space for a Maryland Bobcast episode coming out. That club is doing big things, and we're hoping for a trophy this year. So pay attention to the Bobcast coming out here soon. And that's it.